It is 53 BC. Marcus Licinius Crassus, Rome's wealthy elder statesman, marches across the blistering Mesopotamian dunes, clad in silver and scarlet, his ambition burning hotter than the desert sun beneath his boots. 7 legions, over 40,000 men, plus thousands of cavalry and light troops, follow his command, each soldier hardened by campaigns yet uneasy under the relentless sun. Crassus thirsts for glory, desperate to eclipse the feats of Caesar in Gaul, to rival Pompey's victories in the east. He will not be denied. Across the Euphrates, a young Parthian general named Surena watches the Roman advance. Only in his 20s, yet already famed for daring and cunning, he commands a force unlike anything Rome has faced. 10,000 horsemen, including 1,000 heavily armoured cataphracts and countless agile horse archers, trained to strike, retreat, and strike again. Wealthy, noble, and personally loyal to King Orodes II, Surena carries the prestige of his lineage and the cunning of a seasoned predator. Crassus scoffs at Parthian warnings, ignoring envoys and turning down offers of safe path through the hills from Armenian allies. He marches headlong into the open desert, believing Roman discipline and strength alone can crush any foe. But the sands hide Surena's army, and the Parthian general has already chosen the battlefield. As the Romans trudge through the emptiness, their supply lines strained and scouts ambushed, the tension in the air is palpable. Each legionary senses the unseen predator surrounding them, but Crassus presses on, demanding confrontation, eager to force a battle before summer's end. By early June, the Roman host reaches the open ground near Carrhae, weary, sun-blistered, and unknowingly trapped. From behind a tributary of the Euphrates, Surena's cavalry lies in wait. Horses shrouded in hides, warriors masked and silent, they appear as mere shadows against the horizon. Then, as if a signal has awakened the desert itself, the coverings fall, armour gleaming in the light, and drums thunder across the plain. The Parthian army is revealed in full, an unstoppable wave of precision and power. Crassus scrambles to form his legions into a hollow square, each side 12 cohorts deep, shields locked, pila at the ready. He stands at the centre, Cassius commanding one wing, his son Publius the other. Testudo shields form an unbroken wall, yet even in this disciplined formation, the Romans are vulnerable to the storm about to descend. Surena's horse archers fan out with deadly efficiency, arrows whistling through the air in relentless clouds. Roman skirmishers falter and retreat, their pila unable to reach the mobile shooters. Each Roman advance is baited, each pursuit punished. Then the cataphracts thunder forward, armoured horses smashing into isolated units, scattering the Romans who dared to leave the square. Publius Crassus charges, hungry for glory, but is lured away from support. Arrows pierce the ground around him, the Parthian cavalry encircling, their strikes sudden and lethal. By dusk, his entire command is annihilated. Surena sends his severed head toward Crassus, a grim herald of the carnage unfolding across the plain. Night falls over a shattered army. Crassus, grief-stricken and exhausted, watches as the survivors cling to what order remains. Under cover of darkness, some cavalry break to safety, but thousands of wounded are left behind, slaughtered by dawn's light. By the third day, Carrhae's walls shelter only a fraction of the once mighty legions, and Rome's greatest ambition lies in ruins. Surena rides into Seleucia in triumph, holding Crassus's head before the city's walls. Roman prisoners march in chains, the scale of victory undeniable, yet the glory is fleeting. Within months, Orodes will execute the general whose brilliance overshadowed his king. When the news reaches Rome, the Republic trembles. Nearly 20,000 Romans lie dead, 10,000 captured. The first triumvirate fractures. Caesar and Pompey look eastward with suspicion, and for generations Carrhae becomes a cautionary tale of pride, greed, and the deadly precision of Parthian cavalry. Surena's genius, the desert's merciless discipline, and Crassus's ambition converge in one of Rome's most devastating defeats. It is a story of hubris meeting cunning, of armies shattered under relentless arrows, and of a general who carved his name into history by standing taller than any Roman that day. The plains of Mesopotamia stretch endlessly under the searing sun, and yet Marcus Crassus sees not a desert, but a stage for his triumph. 53 years have seasoned him, wealth has gilded him, ambition drives him beyond caution. His eyes are fixed on glory, not diplomacy, determined to eclipse the feats of Caesar in Gaul and Pompey in the east. 7 legions, 43,000 men, plus 4,000 cavalry and light infantry, follow him in dusty columns, armour glinting, standards snapping in the wind. Every soldier senses the weight of expectation, yet none can foresee the storm gathering on the horizon. Crassus scoffs at warnings from the Senate and Parthian envoys alike. He dismisses the offers of safe passage through Armenian hills, path that would render Parthian cavalry useless, and turns instead to the open plains. His advisors caution patience, urging him to consolidate supplies and choose favourable ground. He refuses. Winter wanes, and the consul's gaze remains fixed on a decisive confrontation. Meanwhile, across the Euphrates, King Orodes II moves with quiet urgency, entrusting the defence of his empire to Surena. Young, brilliant and fearless, Surena commands an army that contrasts sharply with the cumbersome legions of Rome. Heavy cataphracts thunder across the plain, while light horse archers melt into the terrain, invisible until the precise moment of attack. Every bowstring and armoured hoof is a tool in a plan honed to perfection. Crassus marches forward, blinded by hubris and desire, believing Rome's legions can overwhelm any foe. His son, Publius, rides at the forefront, eager for distinction, confident in the training that conquered Gaul. But even the most disciplined soldiers cannot match an enemy that strikes and retreats, never giving them the chance to seize advantage. Every mile deeper into the desert tightens the invisible noose. Water grows scarce, dust chokes the air, and the scent of victory mingles with the fear of the unknown. Allies are treacherous or ineffectual. Scouts vanish into ambushes. The terrain itself conspires against Rome. Crassus presses on, convinced that boldness will yield conquest. Yet the ground beneath his feet is no longer neutral. It belongs to Surena's designs. The stage is set for a clash not just of armies, but of strategy, culture and ambition. Crassus sees a march toward glory. Surena sees the perfect trap. In the distance, the first tremors of what will become Rome's disaster begin to stir. The desert winds carrying the prelude of a storm that will soon descend with merciless precision. The Roman columns advance, the endless sun baking the sand beneath their feet. Dust rises in ghostly plumes with every step, clinging to armour, shields, and the weary skin of soldiers who have already marched too far. Crassus rides at the centre, his scarlet cloak vivid against the monotonous browns of the plains, eyes fixed on glory, deaf to the whispers of caution. Every mile deeper into Mesopotamia strips Rome of its advantage, drawing the legions into terrain chosen by an enemy who knows the desert as intimately as the sun itself. Supplies dwindle, water becomes a luxury, and the smell of heat and dust fills every nostril. Even loyal cavalry scouts vanish into the barren expanses, ambushed by shadows that strike and vanish, hints of the Parthian presence just beyond sight. Each morning brings a faint hope that the horizon will change, that relief will come, but the desert offers only more sand, more silence, and the threat of arrows that can arrive from nowhere. Crassus's arrogance blinds him to every warning. Messages from Armenian allies, offering safer routes through hills where Parthian cavalry cannot maneuver, are ignored. His generals plead for caution. Even Cassius Longinus, his trusted second-in-command, warns of ambush and exhaustion. Crassus presses forward, convinced the legion's discipline and Roman audacity will be enough to overwhelm any enemy. Surena watches from afar, every detail accounted for. His horse archers flank the Roman column unseen, scouting, probing and shaping the battlefield even before a sword is drawn. Camels carrying arrows and provisions stretch along hidden ravines, ready to sustain the relentless storm of fire he plans to unleash. The Parthian general knows Rome's pride, its obsession with glory, and he will exploit it with lethal precision. As the Romans reach a wide, flat expanse west of Carrhae, the first signals of the trap emerge. Crassus notices nothing but open ground, a place where Roman legions feel confident. The Parthians, however, lie in wait like predators behind every rise, every bend, every brush of sand. Ambushes strike the scouting parties, small skirmishes erupt, and the first sense of panic flickers in the ranks. A few legionaries whisper of treachery, of guides who have led them astray. The desert has swallowed Rome's advantage, and what remains is the raw confrontation that Crassus demanded, one he believes he can control. Here, in this barren, unforgiving landscape, the legions encounter the first taste of the storm Surena has orchestrated. Arrows fly from unseen positions, lightly armoured riders vanish before contact, only to return with renewed ferocity. Every Roman advance is baited, every hesitation punished. The desert itself seems complicit, shaping the battle, channeling the army into the perfect killing ground. The Romans push forward, unaware that every step draws them deeper into Surena's trap. The desert itself becomes an ally of the Parthians, guiding the legions toward ambush, stripping them of their advantage and turning confidence into vulnerability. Ahead, arrows will rain, cataphracts will thunder, and Rome's ambition will collide with a strategy honed to perfection. Nothing in the legion's long history has prepared them for what waits on the sands of Carrhae. By midday, the Romans are trapped on open plains, dust still clinging to their armour, sweat baking their faces under the relentless sun. Crassus stands at the centre of his square, surveying a landscape that seems almost ordinary, until the Parthians begin to move. From the horizon, thousands of horse archers appear, a shimmering wave of riders, light and swift, their bows already bent. Every man in the Roman formation feels the first prickling of fear. These are no ordinary enemies. Then the air erupts. 1,000 bowstrings twang in unison, and the first volleys rain down. Arrows whistle through shields and armour, finding gaps that even the most disciplined legionaries cannot close. Light infantry sent forward to skirmish retreat under the storm. Crassus's pila falls short. The Parthians, masters of distance and feigned flight, retreat only to return, their aim deadly, their discipline flawless. Surena watches, calculating. He's anticipated Crassus's every move. Roman infantry must close to throw their javelins, but the terrain and the enemy deny them that chance. Thousands of camels hidden in ravines provide a rolling supply of arrows, keeping the storm unbroken. Each volley chips away at morale, each feigned retreat draws Roman units farther from support. Eager to turn the tide, Publius Crassus leads a detachment forward, 1,300 cavalry, 500 archers, and 8 cohorts of legionaries, charging at the elusive horse archers. The Parthians feign panic, drawing the Romans out. Then, like thunder, Surena unleashes his cataphracts. Armoured riders crash into the isolated Roman units, breaking the line, scattering men, and tossing aside cavalry who cannot match their weight or speed. Publius's detachment is annihilated. Only a handful survive. His head, severed, is sent on a spear toward his father. Crassus's heart sinks. The right wing has fallen, his son's command destroyed. In a desperate attempt, he orders the remaining legions to advance, but every step brings new volleys of arrows, new charges of cataphracts striking from angles the Romans cannot defend. The dense square, once their strength, becomes a cage, each side pressed by arrows and armoured riders. By nightfall, Surena's plan has succeeded. The Roman army is bled dry, demoralised and trapped. When darkness finally falls, the surviving Romans make grim decisions. The wounded cannot be carried. A small cavalry unit flees to safety, leaving the rest to trudge slowly toward the nearby town of Carrhae. By dawn, the Parthians finish the grim task, slaughtering the abandoned wounded by the hundreds. Scattered Roman stragglers are hunted down. Entire cohorts vanish from the sands, leaving only a handful to reach the walls of Carrhae. In the wake of this storm, the legions, once Rome's proudest, are shattered, their discipline tested to the limit and broken. The Parthian tactics honed over generations have turned open plains into a slaughterhouse, proving that speed, cunning, and precision can overwhelm even the most formidable military machine. The battle is far from over, but Rome has already paid the price in blood. Night has fallen over the plains of Carrhae, and the Romans huddle within the shrinking walls of discipline, shadows of the army they once were. The rain of arrows has ceased, but the weight of loss presses down on every man. Crassus stands at the centre of his square, his silvered armour dulled by dust and blood, his sword heavy in hand. He surveys the remnants of his legions, thousands of men now broken, wounded, and desperate. The news of Publius's death reaches him at last, carried on the whispers of surviving soldiers. His son's severed head, a macabre message from Surena, looms in his mind. Rage, grief, and disbelief clash within him. Despite despair, Crassus refuses to surrender. He raises his sword and shouts orders, attempting to rally the scattered units into a countercharge. "Avenge my son," he bellows, but the men, exhausted and demoralized, tighten their square instinctively, bracing for the next assault. Around them, the Parthian horse archers encircle like a storm yet to break, raining precise volleys of arrows into every exposed gap. The cataphracts wheel on the flanks, their lances striking the Roman formation with devastating force. Hours pass. The legions, hemmed in, battered and bereft of hope, can only endure. Crassus orders a retreat under cover of darkness, leaving behind thousands of wounded, men too heavy to carry, left to the mercy of Surena's forces. By dawn, Parthian lancers descend like shadows on the abandoned, slaughtering the helpless. Only a few hundred cavalry manage to break through to Carrhae. The rest are hunted down, cut down, or captured. Crassus, realizing the trap is complete, contemplates flight. Officers plead, urging him to save what remains, to escape across the Euphrates to Syria. Yet pride and perhaps the fog of despair hold him fast. A local guide leads him in circles under cover of night, until Surena intercepts him near the riverbank. Promises of safe conduct are offered, but as Crassus approaches bareheaded and barefoot, Parthian lancers surround him. Sword in hand, he fights with the courage of a Roman consul, but the numbers and skill of the Parthians are overwhelming. The end comes at the river's edge. Crassus falls, the man who once stood alongside Caesar and Pompey, now powerless, his body left in the dust. Accounts tell of his final humiliation, molten gold poured into his mouth, or his corpse displayed in pieces, a symbolic punishment for a lifetime consumed by ambition and greed. Surena rides triumphantly into Seleucia, holding Crassus's severed head before the astonished city. Roman prisoners are paraded in chains. In the east, the message is clear. Parthia has not only defeated Rome's army, but has humiliated its very emblem. The Republic reels. Rome mourns. Nearly 20,000 men dead, 10,000 captured. The first triumvirate is shaken, alliances strained, suspicion growing between Caesar and Pompey. Carrhae becomes a lesson etched in blood. Pride and miscalculation can destroy even the most disciplined legions. Surena's genius, cunning, and timing have secured one of the most resounding victories of antiquity, a triumph that will echo through the ages, leaving the Roman eagle broken in the sands of Mesopotamia. Dawn breaks over Carrhae, but the light offers no relief. Crassus stands amid the ruins of his once proud army, the dust of battle still settling over the bloodied plain. Survivors cling to life behind the walls, their faces etched with fear and exhaustion. Outside, Surena's forces await, disciplined, patient, and merciless. He knows Rome's pride will force a meeting, and he plans to use it to final effect. Under a white flag, emissaries approach. Terms are offered. The Roman command can surrender, and the remnants of the legions might return to Syria safely. Cassius, wary and furious, accepts on Crassus's behalf, only to find the Parthians' deception laid bare. Crassus and Cassius themselves are to be handed over in chains. Trust is a weapon, and Surena wields it with precision. In the dead of night, Cassius slips away with 500 horsemen disappearing across the Euphrates. Crassus, though urged to flee, remains, pride and confusion binding him to the doomed fate that awaits. By midday, Crassus attempts a private escape with a guide, but Surena's vigilance is unyielding. Cornered near the river's edge, he gathers his remaining officers, hoping for a negotiated settlement. Parthian messengers arrive, promising safe conduct if he descends to meet Surena. War-weary and perhaps trusting the promise, Crassus agrees. He approaches the Parthian camp bareheaded and barefoot, a gesture meant to show humility, yet one that seals his fate. Surena personally escorts him, offering a horse as a gift from the king. Crassus mounts, hoping to escape, but the lancers encircle him immediately. A struggle ensues. Swords clash. Crassus fights valiantly on foot, but the Parthians overwhelm him. The end comes swiftly. The Roman consul falls, his body left in the sand. Some accounts tell of molten gold poured into his mouth, a dark parody of his famed greed. His severed head is sent to Orodes, a grim symbol of Parthia's victory. Surena rides into Seleucia in triumph, holding Crassus's head aloft beneath the city walls. Roman prisoners are paraded in chains, the horror of Carrhae made tangible for all to see. Word of this victory reaches the Parthian court. Orodes, for a brief moment, basks in the glory, though jealousy and politics will soon turn his favour away from the general, who has struck fear into the heart of Rome. Rome is stunned. The first triumvirate is fractured. Pompey and Caesar, once allies, now eye each other with suspicion. Nearly 20,000 men lie dead on the plains. 10,000 are taken prisoner. Survivors are scattered, shattered, a shadow of the once mighty legions. Carrhae becomes more than a defeat. It becomes a warning, a lesson etched into the collective memory of the Republic. Even Rome's greatest ambitions can be undone by cunning, mobility, and miscalculation. And yet, amid the carnage and ruin, Surena's genius stands undiminished. The young Parthian general who orchestrated one of history's most decisive victories, proving that strategy, patience, and audacity could topple even the mightiest of empires. The shadow of Carrhae will linger for centuries, a testament to the peril of pride and the enduring power of tactical brilliance. The news of Carrhae reaches Rome like a shockwave. Silence falls over the Senate. Whispers ripple through the streets. Never since Cannae has the Republic faced such devastation. Plutarch records that of Crassus's original army. Only a few thousand cavalry escape, the rest dead or captured. The eagles that once marched proudly across Mesopotamia now lie broken in the sands, symbols of a dream extinguished. The city mourns, and the political landscape trembles. The first triumvirate fractures. Caesar, still in Gaul, and Pompey, stationed elsewhere, glance at each other with suspicion. Allies become competitors in the shadow of Crassus's failure. Rome, for all its strength, has been reminded that ambition without caution is a path to ruin. In the east, Parthia rides high. Surena's tactics and timing have not only defeated Rome's legions, but have humiliated its very emblem, the consul himself. For the Mesopotamians, this is a spectacle of power, a lesson in the perils of hubris. Yet within the Parthian court, jealousy festers. Even the general whose brilliance commanded awe is not safe from the politics of envy. Surena will fall victim to the king's mistrust within a few years, his victory immortal, yet personally fleeting. Carrhae becomes legend. Julius Caesar will cite it as Rome's greatest military disaster. Scholars and soldiers study the battle for generations, dissecting the interplay of strategy, terrain, and temperament. The loss is not only measured in men, but in reputation, ambition, and the stark lesson that Rome's reach can exceed its grasp. And yet, beyond the calculations of history, the story is human. A father and son lost to pride and misjudgment, an empire humbled, and a young general whose cunning reshaped the battlefield. Carrhae is not just a defeat, it is a turning point, a testament to the lethal combination of arrogance, underestimation, and strategic genius. It is the moment when Rome, mighty and relentless, learned that even the greatest legions could be broken by mobility, patience, and foresight. The desert holds its silence over the bones of the fallen. The Parthian victory endures in memory and legend, echoing across centuries. And as the dust settles on Mesopotamia, one truth remains unshakable. At Carrhae, Rome was taught in blood and fire the price of ambition misapplied and the might of a general who would never be forgotten.